Tonight, we have a GESR First, a mock draft special.
Plus, the track and field team hosted their annual Marquette Invitational.
Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adrian Fraga, joined by Layla Hudson. Layla, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, Adrian. How are you?
I'm great. I'm itching to talk some sports, so let's get into it. On Friday, Marquette track and field team hosts senior night at the second consecutive Marquette Invitational. Our very own assistant producer, Jake Dale, brings us more.
The best thing in sports? A home field advantage. That's exactly what Friday at the Melvin Bush Shimmick track and field facility brought for the Golden Eagles as they hosted their second consecutive Marquette Invitational. The Invitational hosted a cozy set of schools including UW-Milwaukee, Bryan and Stratton, Wisconsin Lutheran, and Marian University. But the real benefit of the event? Giving Marquette's track and field seniors a chance to shine at home.
It's all about community. I love having the whole team here. Everyone's out to support, even those that are injured and not traveling with us. Then we have other athletes from other teams come in, so it's a lot of fun to get to see everyone. Friday's
senior night also served as the perfect chance to reflect and celebrate on all these seniors have accomplished.
This group is a tremendous group of leaders. My captains, most of them are captains for 2 or 3 years. They've just been great leaders throughout their whole career, and honestly, it's going to be tough to replace them.
There's no words I have to explain, but it's just honestly a great family of friends that I've collected, that we've all been through ups and downs together. And yeah, this program is just a really great opportunity for everyone to get together, support each other, make memories, train together, and stuff like that.
The love and support I've gotten from my teammates, I feel like our bond as a team has just been amazing. So it's so much, it means so much to me, what I'm saying? It's always going to be a part of me as I continue my journey, even in track or whatever I decide to do.
Marquette track and field supporters came out in numbers on Friday, with even a few familiar faces making their appearance.
Marquette Athletics is a big family. Our team itself, we like to support the other teams and go see the other sports when they're playing. So it's great to have that returned. We certainly don't expect it, but we love having it.
Despite a classic bone-chilling cold Milwaukee evening, it's safe to say the second consecutive Marquette Invitational was a success.
From the Marquette Invitational, Jake Dale, Marquette Wire Sports.
The men's lacrosse team looks to bounce back from their previous loss against Georgetown and take down Providence on the road.
Providence Ryan Bell opens up the scoreboard in the 12th minute, taking the early lead.
And attempting 4 consecutive shots, Marquette tries to settle the score but comes up a bit short.
Without missing a beat, Providence returns with 3 more goals, closing out the first quarter 4-0.
And who else but senior attacker Nolan Rappis to find the back of the net to try and give the Golden Eagles a bit of an opening.
The Friars immediately closed the door as scored twice before the half.
Providence dominates the third quarter, scoring 5 points without a Marquette goal.
The fourth quarter looks much of the same as Providence closes out the game 14-2.
This now marks the second time in Marquette program history where the Golden Eagles have been held to a goal or fewer in a game.
The first coming earlier in the season in a 14-1 loss against Michigan.
Now moving on to the women's lacrosse team as they look to celebrate a little extra for their senior day matchup against the UConn Huskies.
The Golden Eagles come out the gate firing on the offensive front as senior midfielder Hannah Bodner scores the opening goal.
However, this is not the end for Marquette's offensive pursuit, with sophomore Sarah Beth Burns hitting the tough spin move and score.
The Golden Eagles absolutely dominate the rest of the quarter, leading 5-0 at the end of the first.
But UConn comes into the second quarter with a vengeance as sophomore Ava Plata ends the scoring drought for the Huskies.
Senior attacker Meg Byerly continues to capitalize off of Marquette's offensive success with this goal down the middle.
Yet the Huskies continue to battle it out, going on a run and cutting the lead to 1 in the 4th.
UConn attacker Megan O'Brien completes a comeback with this game-tying goal.
And now with the game being tied 15-15, who else but Meg Byerly comes to save the day for the Golden Eagles with this game-winning goal.
Marquette wins the game 16-15, making this their 3rd win over UConn in program history.
There were 4 Golden Eagles who led the way for Marquette, with each of them having at least 5 points.
Hannah Bodner with 5 goals, Sarah Beth Burns with 4 goals and an assist, Meg Byerly with 4 goals and assists, and Tess Osborne with 2 goals and 3 assists.
And now with the win, Marquette advances to 9 wins on the year. This is the 3rd most in program history.
With the NFL draft quickly coming up, it's only fair to ask, who does everyone want their team to pick? Executive sports producer Adrian Fraga brings us more.
The NFL draft is quickly approaching, so we ran around campus to ask students exactly who they want their teams to draft. Again.
Thinking Shadur Sanders. We need a quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll trade up, or you think he falls?
I think he could fall, but worst case, we could trade up because we really need a QB. We just got Metcalf, so yeah.
Chicago Bears.
Do you have any idea who you want the Bears to draft in this upcoming NFL draft?
Yeah, I'm thinking either Ashton Junty or maybe Will Campbell or maybe this guy from Mizzou who I heard was pretty good.
Membu?
Yeah, Membu. Yep.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Who do you want the Bears to draft in the upcoming NFL draft?
Ashton Junty.
Okay. Do you have any clue as to who you want the Seahawks to draft in the upcoming NFL draft?
No.
No?
I don't pay attention to the draft. I pay attention to the team.
But the draft is the team.
Not the current team.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, what about you?
Arizona Cardinals, Abdul Carter.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it. I just hope you know it's not happening.
No, yeah, it is.
Okay. Delusion's a great thing, you know.
He'll fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Character concerns?
No.
Just player
I just want
concerns?
him.
Okay, you got him. Very important. Do you have an NFL team?
Bears.
He said Bears. All right. Do you have any clue who you want the Bears to draft in the NFL draft?
Either Abdul Carter or Ashton Junty.
I don't think Abdul Carter is falling to 10. Okay, Super Bowl champions, right?
Yeah.
Who do you want the champs to draft?
I like Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Safety.
Okay, I know who he's. I don't know if he's gonna fall. I mean, Brian Branch. Maybe he will. That's a good pick either way.
Yeah.
Ball knower. Who do you want the Packers to draft in the upcoming NFL draft? Tough question, I know.
That's a tough question. Talk about position-wise or player? Because I'm not big on college football.
Either or.
Well, we definitely a wide receiver.
It's a very tough question, I know.
Can't remember their names. There's a couple of receivers out there, but hopefully a receiver.
Who do you want the Packers to take in the NFL draft?
A wide receiver.
It would be nice to get a star wide receiver.
I mean, ideally, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's on a Ohio State wide receiver.
Amika Ibuka?
Yeah, him.
There you go. Every Packer fan wants a receiver, and all the Bears want a running back, a really good running back. But we won't know until the draft, so until then, I'm Adrian Fraga, Marquette Wire Sports. And now this week, some Golden Eagles fly higher than others. So here are this week's weekly award winners. Taking home the prestigious Team of the Week is the women's lacrosse team after a close game on Senior Day. The team bounces back in Big East play after taking down the UConn Huskies 16-15. And speaking of seniors, the MVP of the week is none other than Hannah Bodner. A much-deserved award, the senior Mini put up 5 goals and forces 2 turnovers in the big win. And a women's lacrosse sweep, sophomore midi Sarah Beth Burns earns our Rising Star of the Week. Burns scores a career-high 4 goals and tallies an assist versus the UConn Huskies.
And now, coming up this week in Marquette Sports, we have a light schedule ahead of us.
Kicking us off, the track team heads to Kansas for a meet competing for the 3-day slate from the 17th to the 19th.
The women's lacrosse team heads to D.C. on this Saturday on the 19th matchup against the Georgetown Hoyas.
And don't forget the men's lacrosse team hits the road this weekend as well, faring against the Villanova Wildcats on the 19th.
Coming up, what's the NBA playoffs looking like? And what have you been the best for the transfer portal pickups so far? Find out after the break.
Stand is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to load their minds. Dare to explore. Dare to STEM. Learn more at She Can STEM.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Leah, did you put a new dent in that? This one? No. Were you texting and driving again? Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Hello and welcome to Studio 7 as we talk all things sports. Once again, I'm Mikey Severson, joined by Adrian Fraga and Brian Wilson. Let's get straight to it. Every year, there are always several diamonds in the rough in the NFL draft. Whether it's late first-round picks or late-round flyers, talent is everywhere. Who are some of your guys' biggest sleepers?
I like Jackson Dart sneaking into the first round. I like a team like Pittsburgh, if they don't decide to go Shedeur Sanders, to go back into that first round, get a player originally, because they're a team that does need to get younger and just get talent. They have some really good pieces. They just need more talent across the board, and then trade back in. And I think they're going to end up signing Aaron Rodgers, have Dart sit behind Rodgers for a year, and then be the starter. Because ultimately, Rodgers is a rental, and I think Dart's the future somewhere. And I think if he went to Alabama, he would have won a national championship instead of Jalen Milroe. That's just my take on it.
Okay, but when you put it like that, though, to say that, first of all, no guarantee that they obviously sign Aaron Rodgers, even though, let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is more than likely going to be a Steeler. But, again, still no guarantee. I do think the possibility of the Steelers taking as quarterback is, I don't even want to say slept on, because I think everyone is on that bandwagon, but I think it's a real possibility too. And whether that's Jackson Dart, he definitely could sneak in the first round, but I don't know. He's too raw of a prospect, in my opinion. The arm strength can only take you so far. I mean, we saw it with Zach Wilson. We saw it with quarterbacks like Trey Lance as well. We don't want to talk about the 2021 NFL quarterback class, but when we put it that way, I don't know. But as for who I have as my, I guess, first round late sleeper, I mean, it's got to be Nick Manoria. He's just the type of player that coaches literally drool over. And I mean drool. I mean, with a guy of this athletic nature and ability, I mean, picture Derwin James, but more athletic. Enough said. Because you got a guy like that to play box safety. He's just a total monster. And while obviously there's some things that he can work on, such as, coverage and ball reading skill, but that doesn't matter when you take a player like that purely for the upside, whereas Jackson Dart, the quarterback position is way too important to take a more raw prospect like that, even if you do have him sit behind the bench.
Yeah, the thing with Jackson, it's just who do you go after that? who's the guy that you can realistically say, Will Howard, Jalen Milroe? If the Steelers are going to get a quarterback, I think it has to be Jackson Dart, because next year, the Steelers are never bad enough to be at the top end. They're never good enough. So otherwise, they got Big Ben because they were bad. And since Mike Tomlin is there, they've never had a losing season. So where are you going to go to get a guy? Are you just going to do this rotating door of old, washed-up quarterback, or are you going to go take a chance? Because I think they're probably going to sign Aaron Rodgers. This is a hypothetical scenario. We never know. But in this hypothetical scenario, I have them signing Rodgers and then drafting Dart. And, I think ultimately you got to have a quarterback who has played, and if they can sit behind someone, then they just learn. It doesn't really have to be specific how good they are, even though Rodgers is a Hall of Famer.
I've had an epiphany. The Pittsburgh Steelers actually will be taking Jalen Milroe. It just came down to me. You said it, and it makes too much sense. I mean, I think Mike Tomlin last season kind of experimented a lot with those kind of dual threat mobile quarterbacks, and I think Jalen Milroe, again, assuming they sign a veteran to sit behind, I mean, there's no way he's starting year one. I'll bet all my money on that. But, yeah, no way. But if I'm going with my late round flyers, I got to give flowers to my man Xavier Restrepo, man. You talk about a receiver that may not necessarily be the most athletic, not necessarily the best build, not necessarily that doesn't matter, because this guy is a ball player. He's got the best hands in the draft. I don't think that's up for debate. And, again, all the guy needs to be is a slot receiver. You don't need to be that fast playing the slot. You don't need to be necessarily that huge to play in the slot. Wrong. This guy will do it. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's not the most amazing athlete ever, but you know what I mean.
He's a football player.
He can do headstands. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Jack Sawyer, actually. I think he's a guy who has the capability ceiling of Max Crosby.
I think we'll have to go to the next segment of this debate. The NBA playoff picture has been set, and we've all the matchups outside of the play-in tournament. What are your early playoff predictions? We'll start with Fraga.
So, I'm feeling those Clippers, man. The Clippers, I feel like this is the year that they're the best build. They might not even necessarily have the best depth, but they're a pretty top-heavy team, and they're a pretty old team as well. Obviously, headlined by Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, James Harden having such a sneaky underrated season.
Ben Simmons?
Oh, how could I forget about good old Big Ben? But in all seriousness, though, because Ben Simmons is a bit of a joke, the matchup against the Nuggets, I think, is a really good one. It's a timely one, especially coming with the firing of Mike Malone. And you could say that, yeah, Jokic may or may not be the MVP, probably not, but that doesn't matter because it's Jokic. He's the only one on that team. And even though they may not necessarily have a Jokic stopper, because Zubac's not, but I still think that the matchup and everything, all the pieces around him, are too much for them to handle.
Yeah, that's a great game I'm really looking forward to. We don't know if this game is going to happen because it is going to involve the play-in. But I think if the Warriors win the play-in, they would play the Rockets. I think that's a very intriguing series on both sides. Ime Udoka, coach of the Celtics when they lost in the finals, is the coach of the Rockets. He has them playing really well right now, and he has experience against the Warriors. But the Warriors are a team that I think has the ability, because of the youth of the Rockets, that can beat them. And then when it comes to the playoffs in general for an early prediction, I like the Lakers and the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and then Celtics Cavs. I think those are each series that will go 6 or 7. Personally, in that scenario, I have Celtics Lakers, another round of that historic rivalry, and ratings for basketball would be great. But obviously, I'm sure the NBA ratings-wise would love that.
Let me just say, if the finals is Lakers-Celtics, the NBA is actually scripted. That's scripted. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, NBA would love that, but coming up, who's going number 1 in the NFL draft? Who will the rest of the top 5 take? Find out after the break.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye, It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the NFL draft nears, Golden Eagle Sports Report brings a mock draft special featuring our own Adrian Fraga, Jake Dale, and Brian Wilson.
Hello and welcome to a Golden Eagle Sports Report special, a 2025 NFL mock draft. 'Tis the season after all. Joining me today are Jake Dale and Brian Wilson. How are you guys doing today?
Happy to be here. Excited it's NFL draft season.
Right?
Yeah, super excited.
Really couldn't have said it better than myself. So anyways, let's get straight to it then. So I think the first pick is obviously a very easy one. Let's be real.
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1. Cam
Ward. Yeah.
You talk about a quarterback with all the upside in the world, truthfully.
Yeah.
Just the arm talent is so special. And, I mean, I was a fan personally, Cam Ward, when he was at Washington State. But
Yep.
He improved his draft stock tenfold just at Miami. So.
Yeah, you look back last year, he's not at all a first-round prospect. You see him go to Miami. You see what he does in Miami early in that season, has them ranked high. I mean, yeah, he looks poised in the pocket. His arm talent is great for sure. Tons of room to grow in this Tennessee offense. I love the pick here.
I also love the situation. Brian Callahan coached Joe Burrow. So he knows how to deal with young quarterbacks who have had success at the college level moving on. So I think it's a no-brainer pick, especially with a quarterback draft that we really don't know after the top two where people will fall. Cam Ward is the no-brainer pick for Tennessee.
Yeah. That upside's unbelievable again. So moving on to the second pick, I personally have Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Just such an electric edge rusher, freaky athletic. Penn State always delivers with those elite edge rushers. So I think it's a pretty safe pick, especially just that dream pairing alongside Myles Garrett. It'd be so good.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little before, Adrian, about how Abdul Carter could be the number one guy in this draft. Yeah. Obviously, the Titans want a quarterback. They're done with Will Levis, so they go the way of Ward. But yeah, I think the only problem here is the fit. You wonder with the Browns, will they want to trade down? They know they can get a lot of value from this pick because there are other teams that will definitely be wanting Abdul Carter. I think we already have Myles Garrett. Pairing him would be awesome, but there are obviously other needs for the Browns. But pure prospect, yeah, Abdul Carter's the whole package.
Yeah, and I think this would be a perfect situation for Abdul Carter and would actually help Abdul Carter more than it would help the Browns because obviously you get both on either side with Myles Garrett. But you also have somebody Abdul Carter can learn at that level because a lot of people compare him being a Penn State guy to Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
But how are you going to automatically go to, and at the NFL level just prove you're that guy? Because Micah went to the Cowboys. There's a lot of Cowboys legends. Browns legends, not so much. So to put him with Myles Garrett, who is probably one of the only legends you can talk about other than Joe Thomas with the Cleveland Browns organization, it's going to really help the development and then want to keep Myles Garrett there long term.
Yeah, I will add this is possibly a trade down spot. I think as I said before, the Browns can get a lot of value from this pick. Whether the Saints think they won't get Shedeur later or another team really wants Abdul Carter, you never know.
Yeah, but to your point though, I do think that the Browns have so many drastic needs. Even though, don't get me wrong, that defense on paper is still great, especially when they're healthy. But again, I feel like it's just such a win move just by ultimately just picking the guy.
Picking the best guy, yeah, agreed.
So moving on to number 3, I think this is where the draft ultimately gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the Giants taking Travis Hunter, kind of on a similar note to Abdul Carter, just taking best player available. And I mean, we were saying Abdul Carter might be my number 1, but my number 2, either way, would be one of these guys.
Yeah.
It's switching. So yeah, Travis Hunter is just, again, such a freak athlete. He's so natural at corner, those ball skills. And not only that, he's a great receiver, too. He's just such a dynamic player. Like, another player you just can't go wrong with.
Yeah, honestly, this pick seems easy. It's not at all, but it seems easy when you look at the Heisman Award winner, when you look at all that he can do, when you look at the way that he can play both sides of the ball. He probably won't. He'll probably choose one, but either way you put him, he's going to be great. And yeah, this Giants pick, it's going to sell tickets. It's going to get people excited, and that's kind of what the Giants need right now.
Yeah, I think Travis Hunter is a guy that really helps the Giants no matter what. He would be a number 2 guy to Malik Neighbors and definitely the #1 DB there, and his hands as a DB, being a receiver, is probably sets him up for having great success at the NFL level. And there's a lot of personalities in that locker room at the quarterback position, and they're going to add another one. They're going to draft Shedeur Sanders. I think it's just with Russell Wilson and Jameis really short-term deals. Jameis is just a backup ultimately, and I think it already shows that they're not sold on Tommy DeVito because you went and got Russell Wilson. You went and got Jameis Winston. And then Russell Wilson's only a year deal. You can have Shedeur Sanders, who is very arrogant, sit behind a quarterback and actually learn how to be a quarterback at the NFL level. That's ultimately what you need, because that was the conversation with JJ was, is he actually in the locker room with Minnesota? Because it doesn't matter how great of a quarterback you are, you have to learn from a guy who's been there and done that. And I think a Super Bowl champion and Russell Wilson can really help Shedeur Sanders. But I will say, if he falls past #3, I do think it will be the Saints, because there's no one else unless someone out of nowhere trades up unexpected and gets a quarterback. So this is the part where it's going to decide really what happens next. But it makes the most sense for the Giants to go get a quarterback and know your guy, because you ultimately don't know if Arch will come out next year or not.
My worry about Shedeur is the simple fact of too many cooks in one kitchen. I brought it up to you before, but in that quarterback room, Shedeur is a good prospect. He's kind of a surefire guy. He's been trained by Tom Brady, right? Like, he's a pocket passer. He can do his things. He's not super high upside, but he can definitely play at an NFL quarterback level. My issue is you throw him into a quarterback room with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito, and now it gets a whole lot more messy. You don't know who to start week to week. He's not having a certain system in his place. That's my worry about Shedeur. I also think at 3 is a little bit of a reach when you think about the way that scouts have been looking at him recently. We've seen him fall draft boards. At one point, he was right next to Cam Ward. So 3 worries me a little bit.
I mean, yeah, and I would say more, but we got to move on. So moving on to #4, the Patriots. This is another, honestly, pretty interesting pick. Yeah. But I think they go with the safe pick and taking Will Campbell. Elite, doesn't matter. I mean, he has short arms, obviously. Yep. That's his big concern, but you look at a player like that, he's such an elite prospect. You can plug and play him at guard or tackle. I think he'd be great. So I don't think the Patriots would necessarily make a bad pick here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the Patriots are building their offense, right? They got Diggs in the offseason. They had Matt Collins. They got back a bunch more pieces. You can see growth from Drake May. Yeah. So for me, it's just putting more O-line, keep on building that offense. And when Will Campbell falls to you at 4, he's a great prospect. You just take him.
Yeah, and Travis Hunter falls right into the lap for the New England Patriots. But I will say, if it goes the other way, which is what we talked about of Travis going to #3, I think the Patriots without a doubt will trade back because I don't think they're sold on Will Campbell, and they're going to want to get more picks, especially when you just need guys to go play positions. And Mike Vrabel is going to coach them to the best he can. I think Josh McDaniels will do a great job with that offense, really help Drake May. And Jalen Walker, they are in love with him. Multiple reporters inside that organization have said that. So this is a little too high for that. So I think if they don't go Travis Hunter because he's not available, they would trade back and maybe the Saints to go up and get Shedeur or something like that. But in my mock draft, Travis falls right in their lap.
So moving on to #5, I have a very interesting pick here. Literally thought about it right before we started recording. But it's a pick that I suddenly just fell in love with. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars take Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Wow. So, I mean, obviously, Tyler Warren, I mean, we're going to say it every time. Great prospect. Yeah. Like, let's be real. He was so dynamic in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, Penn State offense really showed how great it was.
I mean, he was the backbone of that offense. And so I just think it translates well to the NFL. Amazing receiving threat, obviously. And, I mean, think about it. You get Brian Thomas Jr. last year, who you want to take some pressure off the amazing year that he just had. So by getting someone like Tyler Warren to kind of fit it to the seam or in the slot, I think would be perfect.
Yeah, for me here, I have Jalen Walker. I think it's a little bit of a reach at 5, but the Jags have been known to love their speedy edge prospects. You saw it with Josh Allen. You've seen it with a couple other Foyson, Aluakon, a lot of the linebackers they've picked up. And the reality, Jalen Walker is a guy you can throw anywhere. And I think the Jags have fallen in love, as you said, the way the Patriots have, of the way that he can be super dynamic, super high upside. You can put him wherever you want. I think they would take him over a guy like Mason Graham. I just think not necessarily the fit, but I think the way that they've shown they like these type of prospects, I think the Jazz go big or go home with Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I think they go Will Campbell just because ultimately you got to protect your guy. Liam Cohen is the best coach that could have come in for Trevor Lawrence. You saw what he did with Baker Mayfield. You saw because he coached Baker when he was with the Rams, and then as an OC when Baker was with Tampa. So you see what he really did and helped Baker really get to that next level and the guy that we thought he could be out of Oklahoma. And Trevor Lawrence has not been the guy, except 1 year under Doug Peterson, that we thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson. He was thought to be the next Peyton Manning, like that guy, and he has been everything but that guy. So I think you got to protect him. And Liam Cohen's going to use those weapons, and then later in the draft you can go get guys. This is a very deep receiver class, so I think you can go get a guy that you still really like, or you can get a running back that we see the two-headed monster that was at Ohio State, Quinshon Judkins and Trayvon Henderson, two really great running backs, but obviously not right now. And I think right now you got to get a guy who can protect Trevor Lawrence.
Thank you so much for tuning in and watching our top 5 picks for the upcoming NFL Draft. Don't worry, you can watch the rest of the top 10 on our YouTube channel on Marquette University Television. Thank you.